Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do something a little differently. I do have an unboxing to take a look at, a piece of original art, but it's a it's a page that I unboxed about a month ago. Now the story is this: I recently talked about how in my OAX haul video I talked about how I sold a Grail level page that was in my collection. It was a page from Adventures of Superman number 497. It was from the Death of Superman storyline, which is that's like my all-time favorite. That whole saga, the Death and Return of Superman. I talked about it in that video as the whys behind why I sold it and the timing, and I'm still happy that I let that one go. I felt the timing was still right. So that was at OAX. I came home flew home on Sunday. And then on Monday morning, I get a message from a collector, a fellow Superman collector, and he offered me a page. So that is what we're going to take a look at here. So it's a collector from Argentina, and because it had a trip, a long journey to get here, I wasn't in the position to film a full video at the time of when I opened it, but I wanted it to get it open quickly because I partially just wanted to make sure everything was fine, but mainly it was because I really wanted to see the page. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a cut here, or I'm gonna show you the unboxing, and then we're gonna come back and we will talk about it. This one has a really fun story, and I'll preface it by saying this: while this is the first time I'm seeing this page in person, this is the second time that I've purchased this page. So let's take a look at the unboxing, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the page and the story behind it. So I'm just gonna jump right in and get this thing open because I can't I can't wait any longer. So let's see. Off to the side. All right, get wrapped in some more plastic, safely packed, which is always great to see. So, all right, let's see. There's an address on there, so let's not show that. Looks like it's a repurposed Albert Moy packaging or cardboard. All right, let's not slice into anything important. Make sure we're not doing that. It's been a while since I've actually recorded an unboxing. So, holy crap. Oh, crap. This is back to me saying this is cool because it's pretty cool. I feel like there's also going to be some speeding up of footage here because it's taking a little longer than I anticipated. But there were multiple layers of wrapping, so which is good. There we go. I think we got it here. So nope, we don't. There we go. Now I think we have. Okay. How do I want to do this? Holy crap. Holy. Okay. Let's get this finally free from all packaging. And damn. Damn, that is cool. Oh my god. All right, whatever. So it's Superman 81. It's from the Return of Superman storyline. At this point in time, Cyborg Superman was revealed to be a villain. You see him in cahoots with Mongol. You see the twin engines of Engine City, which is built on the ashes of Coast City. So all of these aspects of this story specifically, like some of the aspects of the story I love the most. It's no secret that Cyborg Superman is my favorite thing to come out of this series, the story, the whole that whole era. It was Cyborg Superman. It's always been my favorite thing from that story, and then the way that Dan and Brett drew Cyborg Superman. So to be able to, I talked about selling that Doomsday page, and from Tom Gurman and Doug Hazelwood, to be able to kind of get that, and then immediately the day after I make that sale, I get this call, and this page is available, and yeah, it just kind of fell in my lap, and the timing was uncanny, and yeah. I love Cyborg Superman. I love that character. I love the look. It was a perfect kind of, as a teenager, to see this like cyborg version of Superman, this robotic character. I was instantly drawn to him when he debuted. I was had the rug pulled under me when I obviously looking back now as an adult, if you read this story, you're like, yeah, he's probably a villain. But like I was, I didn't pick up on that right away, and I just thought like, oh, maybe this is maybe it is Superman, maybe and I was surprised that he was actually a villain, which is again, it's why the story might speak to someone my age a little more, just because I was like the perfect age to be reading this story. It fully captured my imagination, and this is a very impactful moment from the story. Like, it's him. You kind of learning their plans a little more, and it's just like, man, this guy is not a cool dude, but he still looks amazing. So yeah. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna take this page and look at it some more. I mean, come on, this is amazing. All right, so I've had this page now for about a month. So thank you to the collector who reached out and arranged this sale. I got it to me quickly. We arranged the deal quickly after OAX, and when he offered it, I said, yeah, let me just yeah, I knew I wanted to make it work, but I just wanted to make sure that things were okay. I just talked with my wife about the selling of the other page, and I was like, I know we just put that money in the aside, but so anyway, so there was another discussion that took place, and I talked about the reasons behind why I sold the Doomsday page is because it got to a value that I was kind of uncomfortable with. It was decent chunk of change. Now this was a significant purchase as well. But essentially it's around what I paid for the Doomsday page initially. So this and that one kind of ballooned in value. This one I think is another. It's at a comfortable level for me. It doesn't make me super nervous. But the fact that I also don't think that this one is going to kind of explode in value like the other one did, for a couple reasons. Now the death of Superman portion of the whole saga, that one, pages from that don't show up often. Just recently, a couple years ago, John Bogdanov kind of opened up his vault, and he sold off a lot of his Doomsday pages. But the pages that say like Dan Jurgens drew, those were sold off long ago, and I think only a few remain in the hands of the artists, and those aren't going anywhere, and those would be out of reach as it is, because that's from Superman 75, those big splash pages, which would be way out of my range as it is, so those are untouchable. And then everything else from the death of Superman is really hard to come by, and it is really, really expensive. Now the return of Superman, the reign and return of Superman, those pages are still obtainable, and there's more out there. There's more in hands of collectors. There's more that the artists don't really have as many anymore that I know of. But those pages are out there, and they are. They're a little easier to come by, and it's not Doomsday. It's not the there was such a small window of the death of Superman was a 7-issue story, and there are a couple distinctive looks for Doomsday, and there's only small opportunities for those pages to be had. There's the first appearance when he's in the containment suit. There's that kind of like half look, which is on the page that I had, which is my favorite actually look of all of them. But and then there's the kind of the final form and the final fight form where he's like kind of fully exposed, the face is fully exposed, and there. So there's only a couple issues that exist of each of those looks. So they're really hard to come by, and it's the big death of Superman. A lot of people were kind of turned off by the gimmicky nature of the four Superman. Some people felt duped because they were like, oh, it's the death that he's gone, and then they were saying at the time, the Superman comics were ending. There was there was at the end of Funeral for a Friend, there was an issue that was kind of like, that's it. This is the end of Superman comics, and a lot of people were roped into the story, outside of comics because of the hype surrounding it. Like, oh my gosh, DC Comics is killing off Superman, and there were no solicitations for new comics for about, I think it was like 3 months. They didn't have any Superman comics, and then when they came back, some people that were like invested in who bought this stuff, who bought the comics, thinking they were gonna make millions later on down the road, I think were kind of turned off by it because they're like, oh, you said this was the end, and it clearly was not the end. It just speaks to the people outside of comics thinking that DC Comics would actually kill off and never touch Superman comics again. Anyway, I know that I could go off on a whole other tangent from that, but point being, the Reign and Return, the pages are not as expensive because there's more of them. It was a longer story arc, so these characters appeared on many more pages. They're still highly sought after. I mean, they're in the people who like the Death and Return of Superman. Me personally, that the Return of Superman is my favorite part of the whole story. The introduction of the four replacements, the mystery behind who they were, where they came from. That's what kind of really captured my imagination. The death was fun. The story was just one big fight, and it was pretty an epic fight. But there was not a lot of substance to the story, and I think that was the point. That arc, that part of the story is just kind of the prologue, the preface to this whole, what does Superman mean? What does his absence mean to the DC universe? And then, the return, it was just really fun. I mean, it was just, I loved it. So, and the hype surrounded that was huge. I mean, the return of Superman caused a lot of harm to the comics industry. The story had nothing to do with that, but it was just the speculation, the hype, everything that went with it. It brought some negative things to the comics industry. So anyway, all of that aside, the Reign and Return still holds up to me. I can read that story and enjoy it just as I did when I was a teenager, and that's kind of the beauty of that story. There's a lot of things that I read in the 90s that I don't connect with anymore. The art I still kind of enjoy, but the stories aren't as solid. I'm looking at you, X-Men. I did. I really like a lot of the 90s X-Men stuff, but the stories, they just, I read them now, and some of them I can't read. But anyway, so the point being, this story still captures my imagination. The art is just as good as it holds up, and some of it is even better than I remembered it. Like the John Bogdanove stuff, I was not really a fan of when I was a teenager. I liked it because it was all part of the story, but it was definitely my least favorite of the four ongoing titles. But I've come to appreciate that art a lot more over the years. So I feel like it is a story that in some ways has gotten better, and it holds up. So anyway, all of that said, to get this page, okay, so let me get to the story of how I bought this page twice. So it is insane how this whole thing played out. The timing of it was unbelievable. I had no intention of turning around and spending any of that money right away. I was going to put it all in the bank and then just leave it there. But then I got the message. So the story is this: a few years ago, there was a page that became available, and a lot of these pages kind of show up privately. They don't go in auction. There's just a circle of friends that we have in the hobby that are all kind of Superman collectors, and things pop up and they say, hey, are you interested? Do you want to? And we kind of you go back and forth, and if I see something I'm not going to buy, I pass it along to friends and vice versa. So this page, I got hooked up with a collector in Argentina. and this page was available. And we struck a deal. I purchased it, and I was like, yeah, it seemed like it was like kind of like the perfect page for me. It was obtainable. It wasn't like a splash page. It wasn't it wasn't an auction. Auction can go crazy. And so I bought it, and it was shipped from Argentina. There was some complications because I guess shipping out of Argentina is complicated, and some of the normal couriers like normal carriers like UPS and FedEx, it's hard to send that large of a package out of the country, and so the collector had a courier service, and the courier was going to take it out of the country and then ship it from there. We talked about that. It made me a little nervous. It made him nervous. But like, he was like, "Look, if something happens to it, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it." And this collector's been in the hobby for a while, so I was like, "All right, yeah." I mean, I have no friends that have dealt with him, and I was like, "All right, that's fine." So there's a lot of trust that needs to come along in these kind of transactions, but that's also the importance of having trusted friends, and they can kind of vouch for people that you haven't dealt with, and it's also good to see people that are active on CAF, and just there's a lot of things that you can do to help protect yourself, to make sure that you're not just kind of taking a gamble. And I mean, it's a gamble, but it was a measured gamble, or calculated gamble, I guess I should say. So anyway, unfortunately, what happened was the page from the courier never got it sent out of the country. It never got. There was no tracking that had populated, and the collector had almost no recourse. He was trying to get a hold of the courier service. They kind of ghosted him, and it was. I felt terrible. I mean, he reassured me when it went missing. He reassured me that I was going to be taken care of, and I was like, all right, let's wait a little longer. I'll ride this out with you. And so he came through. I mean, he it got to the point where he was like, look, I don't know where this is, and I don't feel comfortable holding your money anymore. So he returned the money to me, and and then. I just felt terrible. It was an all around. I felt a couple things. I felt bad that he was now out the money and the page. I felt bad that the page was lost. I mean, it was the idea that this really awesome comic page was somewhere out there and probably discarded, or it could have been trashed. Like, and the idea that was lost, that piece of comics history was lost. It made me sick. But anyway, so. What happened was it was months later. I want to say like 6 months later, possibly longer. I forget. It was the time. I forget what the exact timing was, but it was a while. He randomly out of the blue sent me a message and said, "Guess what showed up?" Somehow the courier service came through again. I don't know what exactly happened, but they got the page back to him, and then he was like, "Okay, I'm going to hold it. I think I'm not going to, now that I have it back, I don't want to sell it, and I'm going to hold on to it." And I said, "Look, dude, I completely agree with you. Like, you keep it. Let's not go through that again." And so anyway, so the story is he is doing some work outside of the country. And he said, "Look, I'm this is when he sent me a message back in January. And he said, 'Look, I'm going to be able to ship this out. If you, I'm going to go, I'll have access to reliable shipping services, and if you want this page, I will, I'd like to offer it up again at the same price that we agreed upon.' I want to say this was like 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. Could have been 3. Offered at the same price, and I was like, look, yeah, let's do it. So then and the fact that I had just gotten the deal done for the Doomsday page, and I felt great about that. Still felt great about that. But then the idea that I could also walk away with still a nice chunk of change in the bank, a Matt Wagner Dracula cover, and then also have this page all kind of as part of the deal in selling the Doomsday page. It was kind of like the absolute perfect scenario for me, because while I love Doomsday, and Doomsday is I love that page, great, Grummett Hazelwood page. Cyborg Superman for me, like, that is my all-time favorite thing to come out of that era. The Dan Jurgens Brett Reading pairing, it just, yeah, like that would be it. You know, I've been reluctant and hesitant to say the term Grail, but this really is like a personal Grail level piece to me because of the artist involved, the character, the impact of the moment. This is a lot of the pages are very memorable because I've read the story so many times, but this one definitely was one that was seared in my brain because I remember having Cyborg Superman with Mongol side by side, fully revealed as the villains of the story. I mean, I remember this page and and for many the top half of the page is largely forgettable. It's not the stuff that's on the top of the page is not what drives the value of the page. However, it's so incredibly important to the story because it represents their master plan, what they're doing, what they destroyed Coast City, replaced it with Engine City, and then they want to go after Metropolis. So it's such a key part of the story, that I love it, and it was an impactful page. So I still can't believe that this page is in my possession. That I own this page, and it's from a comic that it's one of the this a lot of the covers were iconic, but this one I really loved because it was like the full on return of Superman. He was there. Yeah, Superman 81. I mean, I just love this cover. Just the character, the black suit with the green background. It just is such a strong looking cover. Um, so yeah, this issue you learn a lot about what Superman was up to, how he came back, because he just at the end of the previous chapter, which was I think Man of Steel 25, he arrives back in Metropolis. So that's kind of cool. Then now I have a page from the not that it's just fun to make these little connections like when you have pages. So I have a page from Man of Steel 25, and it's Steel talking about Eradicator and Cyborg Superman and Superboy are on that page, and it's just them talking about Superboy going out to kind of work with Cyborg Superman to help to go after the Eradicator, which they thought was the villain. Anyway, point being, I like that there was like that page, and then I have this page, which is like the next chapter, and that's right in that the meat of the story that I really absolutely loved because things were kind of coming to a head at that point. It was like getting into the the final chapters of the Return of Superman story. The other thing about this issue is this is the issue where we learn about who Cyborg Superman really is. We learn about his past as Hank Henshaw, his grudge against Superman, where that was born, why he's doing what he's doing, why he's impersonating Superman. So it's actually the origin of Cyborg Superman is in this comic as well. So this was definitely an issue that kind of blew my mind at the time. I didn't know who Hank Henshaw was. I hadn't read some of the earlier issues where he was introduced. So it was all new to me there, which immediately made me want to go track down the first appearance of Hank Henshaw, which I actually didn't do until years later. But yeah, this whole issue was just such as someone who loved Cyborg Superman, it was an issue that was such a memorable moment in the history of the character. Yeah. And the other thing that's really cool, I didn't grab one, but so there was the Return of Superman trading card set, which I have. I have a box, like a sealed box in there. I've got an open box with sealed packs in it, because I just like to have that look of the comic store, by the checkout, that the box of cards. Anyway, that trading card set, I love that set, and it's all art from the comics. And there is a trading card that is this panel, which is the Cyborg Superman and Mongol. So, trading card art is a huge thing now. So I guess I'm in the I'm in the cool kid club with the trading card art. So yeah, so to have this page be as impactful as it is, as meaningful to me, and have it kind of tied to the selling of the Doomsday page. There's just so many things that I love about having this page and made it the right thing for me to do. And yeah, I still can't believe that I have this. And yeah, I don't know what else there's to say. It's just unbelievable how things in this hobby can work out. There was a page that I thought was lost to history. I thought it was in the trash. Let alone the disappointment of not owning it. I thought it was just completely gone. So to have it show up again and it become now available again all these years later, it's just, this one means so much to me, because of the journey that it's been on, the journey that it's taken me on. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you soon.